Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I am honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight engineer MohamedKamel Morsi, the expert in development and investment. Before the break, we were speaking about the challenges that have faced Egypt and, of course, the whole globe following or for the past 5 to 6 years under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, like the COVID-19, for example, like the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, like the events in Palestine, the aggression by the Israeli occupation forces against the Palestinians in Gaza and for the rest of Palestine as well. So all of this is affecting the economic picture for Egypt and for the entire world as well. But you mentioned that you are optimistic for the future.
Yes.
What are the reasons behind this optimism?
So I think that the current direction from the government is clear, that is the promotion of investment and restoration of the investment confidence. It is clear from the directions from Prime Minister, from the President and from the Cabinet, that we are seeing a very strong economic team.
Yes.
So we're seeing the return of Ministry of Investment, a new Minister of Finance, Mr. Ahmed Kushok, which is a great expert and a long time expert in the World Bank and in the Ministry of Finance. We're seeing Farid Kamel al-Wazir managing or leading the industry and transportation, which is a great signal that this is a priority sector, and I am very optimistic from that move, and I see that His Excellency will significantly achieve in the coming period, definitely with the work from the Central Bank and Her Excellency Rania al-Mashad. So I think that we have a quite strong economic team with a clear signal to the international community that we're very we're really focusing on investment and on the economic development in Egypt.
Yes, one of the economic team, one main member of the economic team is, as you mentioned, the new Finance Minister Ahmed Kushok, who participated in the G20 meetings, and we will be having a report regarding his participation in the meetings for the past week. And speaking about the policies, the upcoming policies for the economy and the possible investments in Egypt for this field in the G20 meetings, we'll be having more details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
Egypt showcases its economic and investment policies and agenda priorities during the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meetings. In his respect, Minister of Finance Ahmed Kushok stated that the government aims to adopt sustainable financial policies and encourage investments through various incentives, highlighting that Egypt will build sustainable financial policies to create a greater financial space for spending on health, education and social security. The minister explained that he would adopt a balanced economic discourse in a way that is more aware of global, regional and local challenges and more open to international investors. He also noted that the government is enhancing its relationship with investors to ensure investment flows and sustainable development, aiming at creating a conducive business environment characterized by preferential advantages, competitive neutrality and simplified procedures. He presented Egypt's vision for supporting the global economic growth and the transformation to a green economy through encouraging sustainable financing and reforming the financial and tax structures. He added that Egypt aims to deepen cooperation with G20's emerging economies, benefiting both parties. The minister stressed that although the Egyptian economy is still affected by global and regional geopolitical tensions, it has begun to adapt to these difficulties since the government is pushing recovery efforts targeting sustainable growth by maximizing domestic production and stimulating exports. Singapore's second Minister for Foreign Affairs and Education, MohamedKamel, praised Egypt's efforts amid region's unstable geopolitical conditions and expressed his aspiration to explore investment opportunities in Egypt. Osman made his statements in a meeting with Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashad, as part of her visit to Brazil for the G20 Development Working Group meetings. For her part, Al-Mashad discussed possible future cooperation with Singapore in light of bilateral relations between the two countries and the new government's priorities, which emphasize human development, industrial localization and other key agenda items. Over the past 4 decades, both countries have signed numerous partnerships to expand in economic, trade, investment and cultural sectors. Al-Mashad also highlighted the new government's program between fiscal year 2024-2025 and fiscal year 2026-2027, which includes attracting foreign and local investments through encouraging investments and enabling the private sector to lead development efforts. Al-Mashad also met with the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs to discuss fair financing mechanisms to enhance Egypt's strategy to adapt to climate change. She reviewed the strategy launched by the ministry in May 2023 to enhance South-to-South and triangular cooperation, which seeks to encourage joint work between countries with similar economic and social conditions to promote sustainable development and climate action. Al-Mashad stressed the importance of achieving climate justice and developing innovative and effective financing solutions. She pointed out that 11 of 17 countries with the lowest greenhouse gas emissions are the most vulnerable to climate risks and are the least prepared to confront climate change.
Welcome back, Engineer MohamedKamel Morsi. How would you assess the participation of Finance Minister Ahmed Kujuk in the G20 meetings for the finance ministers and the central bank governors, as well as the participation of the Minister of Economic Development and Planning and International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Al-Mashad, in the same meetings?
So I think it's a great participation, assuring Egypt position and building on Egypt international relation. The economic development and the financial sustainability and the sustainable development, as His Excellency mentioned, is key, and building it with our international partners is quite important. I think FDIs is and attracting foreign direct investment is a very important thing. Doing it with the leaders within the G8 or the G20 is definitely something of great importance at this stage.
Yes, speaking of the G20 meetings and the participation of the Finance Minister, Mr. Ahmed Kujuk, he spoke about the incentives that Egypt will be offering to the potential investors and to the whoever who wants to be cooperating with us in the economic field and in terms of investment as well. What are the incentives that Egypt could be providing for the potential investors?
I think there is, let me talk about the opportunities prior to talking to the investment, because I think that the current climate, the current opportunities of investment in Egypt are significant, and there is significant amount of opportunities. There is definitely a number of challenges, which is mainly related to the processes and the administration process, but I think that there is a number of solutions for it. In terms of opportunities, I think that Egypt has significant opportunities across all sectors. With the current level of wages, we're very competitive, which makes it for the industries, we're a very competitive country, even versus China, versus India, definitely versus Europe and the US. So our industries or our location with this labor salaries,
yes,
as well as our location very near from Europe in the same time zone with significant trade agreements, with historical relations with Europe, it's a great opportunity for industries to come and open their factories in Egypt. So that's on the industrial side. I think that we have huge opportunities in tourism. We are underserved in terms of our opportunity in tourism. So there is plenty of opportunity for investors to come to work in transportation, in hotels, in hospitality, in entertainment. So there is a significant amount of even retail, high-end type of retail. I think that there is plenty of opportunity for investors in tourism. Mining sector, energy, we're talking about sustainable development. We have a huge opportunity in solar, in wind, in hydrogen. And I think that we're additional to this, we have the Suez Canal Economic Zone. Suez Canal Economic Zone is a huge opportunity for us to play a significant role in industries and as a logistic hub, especially with the location very near to Europe, very near to the Arab world, with clear access to the East. I think we have a huge opportunity for building an economy. And I would not only talk about industry, I would talk about an overall type of economy that can be built in Suez Canal. The Suez Canal Economic City provides not only incentives, but one of the major facilitation of the administration process.
Yes.
So it's faster. So you had to do the golden visa for a number of industries. In the Suez Canal Zone, you can have a fast track and implement your project in fast time. With the opportunities, I think that the level of investment or the level of incentives would need to be checked on industry per industry. I would expect that His Excellency would start to talk about tax breaks and a number of incentives in taxes. I would expect that we will see incentives on the lands and the industrial lands. So I would hope, let me say it in this word, I would hope to see those types of incentives, especially with the significant high interest rate that we have today. So to balance the high interest rate that we have it because of the inflation, it would make sense to see a number of incentives from the government.
Those are some of the opportunities that Egypt could be offering for the potential investors. But the finance minister also spoke about enhancing the relationship between Egypt and the potential investors. How do you think the relationship was hit, especially during the times of the revolution in 2011 and the following revolution in 2013, and even before that with the previous administrations? And what can be done to be mending the relationship, especially in terms of trust between the government, between Egypt and the potential investors?
I think Egypt has always been a historical investor and trade partner with the leaders of the world. With the US, we have been in historical relations with the EU, with the UK, with China, with Russia, with the Arab world, with Africa. So I think that Egypt has always had the trust and the strong relation from all those different countries. I think Egypt, a number of different investors, either from the US, from Europe, have came to Egypt 30, 40 years during the last decades and have seen significant amounts of profits in Egypt.
Yes.
So with the stability of the currency, with the sustainable policies that the government is putting in place, I think it's just clear that we just take back our position as a key trade and investor partner to the West and to the world.
On the other hand, one of the main statements made during his participation, the Minister of Finance in the G20 meetings, was that we need to be deepening cooperation with the G20 emerging economies for the benefit of both sides, for Egypt and for the other economies that we will be dealing with and cooperating with. For the benefit of the other side, what are the main elements that they will be having for the future?
I think that so talking about developed countries or developing countries, we have been working with all the different types of countries.
Yes.
And we have in place a number of different trade agreements. So if you talk about the COMESA, that is really focused on in Africa, in developing countries, when you're talking about the Pan-Arab, the Pan-Arab versus the EU or the Quiz that are with the EU and the US, or the Agadir. So I think we have a significant trade opportunities with all the different significant investor partners. Now, if you're talking about developing countries, we are a very significant big market with over 100 million population, with a youth that represent 50% less than 30 years old. So we're a very strong market that creates an opportunity for developing markets to come invest, open factories, open companies, work to service the Egyptian market, as well as our companies, our factories, our startups, our SMEs are acquainted to working in developing situations. So we have the capability to export our companies to those markets.
On the other hand, the Minister of Economic Development, Planning and International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, was in Brazil to be attending the G20 meetings as well, and had a number of meetings with officials from Singapore, for example. How do you see the importance of having good bilateral relations in the economic field between Egypt and Singapore, to be specific?
I think Singapore is a great country. I think they have achieved significant economic development throughout the last decades, and there is a lot of opportunities to attract investors from Singapore, especially in the logistics sector, from the education sector. Those are two sectors top of mind that I think that we can really attract Singaporean investors and learn from their experience in those sectors.
On the other hand, one of the main statements made by the Minister of Economic Development, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, is that we need to be enabling the private sector here in Egypt to be leading the development process. Do you think that this scenario or this plan was implemented in different countries, and we need to be replicating the same scenario here with success?
So definitely, I think there is plenty of best cases or success cases of empowering the private sector. But I would actually focus on Egypt. So Egypt, we have been empowering the private sector throughout a number of decades.
Yes.
And the private sector was taking a significant role. So we actually, within our economy, the private sector is, and I would see taking a significant role within the economy in the next years. Now, during the past few years, with international crisis, with the instability in the currency, I think the private sector was not able to really work at ease. Was seeing significant challenges. Was very difficult to import. Was very difficult to find USD for imports. So doing business for the private sector was significantly challenging. I can see today that the situation is different. I can see today that a number of factories are expanding, are growing, are expanding especially on their exports. So there is a significant change. I would not say that we are at the end of the road or today we have everything is great, but I think that we are going in the right direction, the right path to overcome the challenges that we have, improve the investment climate that we have in Egypt, improve a number of administration processes, and let the private sector, especially with the state ownership policy, its clear direction. President Sisi, in a number of different occasions, have stressed on the importance of the private sector, either international private sector or local private sector, encouraging them to open in different investment opportunities in Egypt.
Yes, Engineer MohamedKamel Morsi will be heading to the other report of the daily debate for tonight, focusing on the statements made by Dr. Rania Al-Mashad, the Minister of International Cooperation and Economic Development, speaking about ways of boosting the economy for the future. We'll be having more details in the upcoming reports, so stay tuned.
Egypt's Planning and Economic Development Minister Rania Al-Mashad has underlined the crucial role of the National Investment Bank in driving Egypt's economic growth and development. Al-Mashad, who also chairs the NIB, met with the bank's Vice Chairperson and Managing Director Ashraf Nigmi to discuss the institution's ongoing projects and its broader contribution to the country's development agenda. During the meeting, Al-Mashad emphasized the NIB's mission to enhance government investment efficiency and support economic and social development. The bank plays a pivotal role in financing and overseeing projects maximizing their developmental impact. Al-Mashad highlighted the NIB as a key economic and investment arm of the state, instrumental in implementing development plans and building infrastructure across various sectors. The bank's efforts have contributed to increased productive capacity, attracted investment, and boosted economic growth in recent years. The minister also noted that the bank's focus on institutional capacity building to meet the challenges of the current economic climate. The meeting covered the NIB's involvement in joint ventures across sectors, including fertilizers, petroleum, banking, financial services, food industries, urban development, mining, construction materials, and tourism.
Welcome back. You're still watching the daily debate, and I'm honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Engineer MohamedKamel Morsi, the expert in development and investment. We have seen over the past report the statements made by the Minister of Economic Development and International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Al-Mashad, speaking about the importance of the National Investment Bank. What is the main role of the National Investment Bank?
It's a hard question. National Investment Bank has a number of different roles.
Yes.
One of them is the direction or supporting the different entities from the government in their infrastructure projects. The second role is investment in general. So National Investment Bank has a very large portfolio of companies and participation ranging from mining companies to insurance companies. So it is a significant large portfolio. I think that the third part is investment on behalf of other parties. So Shahadat al-Bank al-Ahli are owned by the
funds and certificates.
Yes. By the National Bank, National Investment Bank.
On the other hand, we have mentioned at the beginning of the episode that we have a relatively new cabinet, new ministers, different ministries, new ministries altogether. How do you see the importance of having this economic cluster, this economic newly formed economic team nowadays for the benefit of Egypt in terms of having more foreign direct investments and to be enhancing this portfolio for the future?
So I think it's a great opportunity that we have a strong economic team at this point of time.
Yes.
I would stress even before the foreign direct investment on the local investment. So I think that the Egyptian economy and the local investors are a significant part or a leader in that sector, and they are the ones that will send the confidence signal to the international investors. Yeah. When you see the locals and the local investor and local businessman investing in Egypt, I think that the international community will start to come. And we have seen throughout the different businesses in Egypt that there is always, or in most of the cases, there is an international investor partnering with a local investor. So with the current economic team, I think it's a very optimistic signal to restore the investment confidence in Egypt and take our right position, I would say, and play our right role of being a significant trade and investment partner to the international community.
You've also mentioned that we have a lot of challenges internally and externally in terms of the economy. What are the main decisions that should be taken by this newly formed economic team to be facing those challenges?
It's quite long. It's a quite long list of actions.
We have time.
Let me pick on a couple of points that yes. I think that are significantly important. So I would say that the review of the administration process and the reform of doing business and the ease of doing business is a top priority at the moment to improve as fast as possible. We can benefit from the special economic zones. So Suez Canal economic zone is an opportunity until you improve on your overall administration process to be able to open and benefit and use from this one. I would think that empowering, encouraging and growing the startup, the SMEs, yes. is essential at this stage. So building and growing the startups, the SMEs is very important. I would also think of empowering and selecting a number of Egyptian companies, maybe 30, maybe 50 companies, Egyptian companies, and take them to become world leaders. So encouraging them, empowering them, providing them with the right incentives, providing them with the right international support, and making them to become leaders. Different countries are built in Europe, in the US, are built on strong companies, yes. strong private sector companies. So we need to have champions. We need to have...
But isn't that a bit of a risk, like what happened for the United States in 2008?
I think I'm not really talking about debt, or I'm talking about loans. I'm really talking about taking Egyptian companies and providing them with support across the world to become significantly larger.
Support from the government?
Support from the government. Support from the government for becoming global leaders. Yes. Today, if I have 10 companies over $1 billion, that's a $10 billion to my economy. So we need to support the private sector. We need to help them in opening new markets. And I believe that Europe is a very important partner for us. And I think we need to leverage the opportunity and focus on building more and more investment opportunities, either inflows or outflows for our Egyptian companies to open in Europe. The European market, we have a historical relation with the European market. This is a significant market with significant purchasing power. Egypt has a strong brand.
Yes.
There is There is almost no student in Europe that doesn't know Egypt. So we have our leverage, we have our historical relation with them, and I think that they are an important partner for Egypt in the coming decades.
You've mentioned a very important point for the benefit of any economy and for the benefit of the Egyptian economy, as we have seen President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi over the past years encouraging to be having more and more and bigger SMEs, small and medium enterprises. But on the other hand, you think that the people themselves, the potential entrepreneurs, do they have the enthusiasm nowadays to be going into the market and risking to be having their own business?
I would have loved to say yes. I think that there is a clear success cases from a number of startups, but I believe that the numbers of people and the number of young people and the number of entrepreneurs in general in Egypt should be multiplied, significantly multiplied. I don't know, because of lack of risk, because of lack of financing, lack of innovation of ideas, but I would have loved to see a much larger number of entrepreneurs opening startups or SMEs or businesses. We have a tendency to focus on certain sectors. So if restaurants are successful, let's open 100 restaurants.
Yes.
Nevertheless, I think that there is huge opportunities for entrepreneurs, either in digital, in AI, in logistics, in transportation, in tourism. So the sky is the limit. So motivating them, showing them the opportunities, supporting them through financing and through the overall ecosystem is definitely significantly important.
We are seeing a new cabinet, but the previous cabinet, it had an achievement in terms of cooperating with major entities, like, for example, the United Arab Emirates, in terms of developing Ras al-Hikmah, for example. Do you think that those partnerships, this cooperation with the major entities from around the world, could be replicated once again with the new cabinet under new guidelines for the benefit of both sides in the future?
I believe that Egypt has huge opportunities.
Yes.
We have seen the Ras al-Hikmah, which could be considered as tourism, real estate type of investment opportunity.
Yes.
And I believe that there is a huge number of different opportunities in this exact same sector. If we talk about Aswan, if we talk about Sina, if we talk about the Red Sea, if we talk about the other areas of the North Coast. So there is plenty of touristic destinations where we can really develop significant real estate and tourism projects. Nevertheless, we have also significant amounts of opportunities in energy sector, for example.
Yes.
In petrochemicals, we definitely can focus significant amounts of our gas in creating petrochemical industry. We have opportunities in renewable energy, wind, solar, hydrogen. So there is huge opportunities to create partnerships with international investors.
Yes, Engineer MohamedKamel Morsi, the expert in development and investment. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Thank you.
And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.